what would we do if we ever just found the truth all packaged up in a box? Like, here it is. There's no need to look for anything else.
Be
Wouldn't that
bored.
be a bore?
Being boring life. Absolutely.
Here, take this thing and go hide it so we can find it again.
Maybe that's what they're doing in the Vatican. Maybe that's what all them hidden books are locked away.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe mankind has really figured it all out and we just don't have access to it anymore. We hit it. And that's what I like about this episode. We think about evolution. Was it all just a spark, a big bang that happened? And from there, these tiny little organisms became bigger organisms and more intelligent organisms over time, like you said? Or um, was it, no, a few thousand years ago, God created it all? Or was it all on the back of a turtle? All right, so we're at episode 1. Our first topic of discussion is evolution versus creation and versus intelligent design. Now, Jordan, you have broken this out from uh, two sides of a coin to a third, where we've got evolution, creation, and intelligent design. So let's talk a little bit about how you break away creation versus intelligent design into two categories, and then we'll go back to evolution. Is that cool?
Yeah, yeah. So I think intelligent design is the way I've understood it is people that scientists that question the mechanism for descent with modification. So basically, in a nutshell, they object to Darwinian theory, natural selection, as being the mechanism that causes descent with modification. And so, um, like for example, Michael Behe. Michael Behe is a scientist that wrote the book Darwin's Black Box, and his main argument is you have organisms that are irreducibly complex, like a mousetrap. If you take away one part of the mousetrap, it's no longer useful for anything. And so there's certain organisms that are irreducibly complex, and so that demands an explanation, and they believe that a designer is the best explanation for that. So they believe in a creator, but these are not the same people that think necessarily that the Earth is 6,000 years old. That's more of the creationist camp. Now, technically, creationists do believe in intelligent design. Intelligent design do believe that God created the universe.
It sounds like the two, in your opinion, are not mutually exclusive, um, but you camp them out in different camps. In your mind, you think of a creationist maybe as somebody that um, believes the Earth is maybe 6,000 years old, possibly flat with a dome over it, um, versus an intelligent design believer that is much more scientific about it and says that there was maybe a creator or a designer of the fabrics of life, but maybe it's not what a lot of people call God. Is that a good way to maybe summarize
Yeah,
the difference between the two?
I think you could say the main difference is that the ID proponent, the intelligent design proponent, he doesn't say which deity it is. He just says that, we can't teach religion in school, but we can teach intelligent design, because it's just saying universe was created by an intelligence, life was created by an intelligence. We're not going to say that it's Allah. We're not going to say that it's Yahweh. We're not going to say that it's Krishna, whatever. So we're not teaching religion. We're just teaching a theory or an explanation of the universe called intelligent design. Whereas a creationist says, my holy scriptures tell me who made this earth and how it happened. So um, I think that's the main the main dividing line. Is one is taking it a few steps farther than the other. And of course, along with those creation stories comes other things, like often a young earth in Christian circles, the
What
flood,
about,
all
yeah,
this goes hand in hand. Yeah.
was it all on the back of a turtle? Let's explore all the ideas of the evolutionists versus the creationists that says there's no such thing as evolution. I think intelligent design might be the camp that will agree with both sides and say, yeah, there is intelligent design, but there's more to it. Maybe there is that chromosome missing in humans that is still in the great apes. We have 26 or 46, they have 48. A couple of ours fused together, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the story goes. So the intelligent design people, the IDs, I would imagine, can agree with what we've learned and studied with microscopes, as well as what we've learned with telescopes, where it might be a little harder for some creationists to accept any of that.
Yeah. And I think maybe a lot of that, and I'm mostly speaking about traditional Christian creationism, like the tradition I was brought up in, and I'm
Same
sure
here.
you were too. Yeah.
Yes.
When you do some deep study of the Bible, you realize why that perspective was important to the people that taught it to our parents, and who taught it to them, who taught it to them. And that's because for our theology, the fall of Adam was very important. It's very important that Adam be a historical person, and that fall truly, really happened in history, because that is precisely what Paul says Jesus reversed. And if you never had that fall happen to be, and literally happen, one man, then it doesn't really make much sense when Paul says that one man reversed it. You have to, I mean, there's plenty of Christian theologians that are able to harmonize the two,
Sure.
but for someone who's, a little more simple minded, it would be hard to understand Paul in a way that could harmonize with evolution, that like there wasn't a historical Adam.
Right. It was a archetype in a sense, like Christ, an archetype. Uh, each could be construed that way, and we can go down the path of biblical canon making by the people that did it, and what was left out, what was left in. But we're not going to go there right now, because that's a whole 10
That's a
other
whole other
episodes.
episode.
Yeah, that's so. So let's suffice to say, yeah, the creationists that are sandwiched between the evolutionists and the intelligent design people are the ones in the middle that have accepted that the pages of the Bible, the Christian Bible, tell the story as it needs to be told, and we don't need a lot other than that. That's a very fundamentalist view of the scriptures. As we know, we were raised that way. You take the fundamentalist standpoint of absolute truth, and that's what we look for. You and me, in all of our conversations since we've met, I feel like have been sort of geared towards what's true versus what's not, what's real versus what's not. And we want to stick with that idea in the conversations. And when we get people maybe chiming in with us, when we invite other people on the podcast, I always want that to sort of be the guiding factor is, is there one absolute truth? Because if you say no, we're in trouble. If you're a creationist or if you're a Christian, if we say no, there's no such thing as absolute truth. So I think that's where we can place the creationists, is they believe in absolute truth, whereas the evolutionists and the IDs may not. Would you agree with that?
I think most evolutionists would say that they believe in absolute truth,
Okay.
but that they may say that we can't know it,
Mm,
but that is there.
okay.
I mean, most evolutionists are pretty, uh, well, Alan Watts would describe them as prickly people. They're very precise. And in order to be that way, you have to see things black and white, yes or no,
Okay.
true or untrue, true and false. They don't like it vague. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Now that
might
makes sense. And you
disagree
can't,
with what
yeah,
the truth is, and
yeah.
they might be agnostic about it. But I think they would say that it exists one way or the other.
Okay. That's a good point.
That's just my experience with them. As anyone who studied evolution at all, or even had ninth grade biology, knows that chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas, they're just as modern as we are. We're not more evolved than them. We are smarter than them, but we're not more evolved than them. They are just as modern as we are. They're modern species, and we're a modern species. Um, and so the straw man definition of evolution that was kind of put in my head at an early age was that these idiots think we came from monkeys. They think we came from
Hmm.
chimpanzees.
Yeah.
And that's not what evolution teaches,
Right.
and never has been.
Well, I mean, there's a piece of it, right? There's a piece that says, the natural evolution of mankind was that we were an ape at some point in the past, right? That something happened, those chromosomes fused, and we became more intelligent or something, right? There's
Well,
something in there.
we have a common ancestor with that chimpanzee that has um, that that still has that extra chromosome that in us is fused, but it shows that we're still related farther up the family tree.
Okay.
Not that we came from them and ours happened to fuse and theirs didn't, but we share a common ancestor.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's something else. It takes just a minute to wrap your head around when you've been kind of programmed by this, again, this straw man definition of evolution.
Hmm.
Is uh, Evolution is not linear. Um, it is let's see, where's my notes on that? Okay, yeah, linear evolution. That would be orthogenesis. Orthogenesis was the erroneous idea that species evolve from one to the next in a linear fashion. Orthogenesis, or linear evolution, is what is depicted in the famous March of Progress. That's where you see that picture of, like, starts off as a monkey, and then it starts looking like a caveman, and like a man carrying a spear, and then you have like the modern man carrying a briefcase. That
Right.
March of Progress, that's that idea of linear evolution or orthogenesis, and that never happened. That's not what evolution teaches.
And was that what Darwin tried to establish, or does that go
No,
against
no,
the?
that's what's funny, is that's kind of when you think Darwinism, or even Google Darwinism and click on images, you're gonna
That's what
see the
comes
March
up.
of Progress, but that's not how it happened, and that's not even exactly what he um, had promoted. So I guess I need to just touch on these different views, like um, where creationists draw the line. Um, some say the Earth is flat and the dinosaur fossils are fake. And I
Mhm.
actually have met intelligent people that believe this, that are still alive, like today.
Mhm.
They really think that the Earth is flat, and they really think that the dinosaur fossils are a hoax.
Mhm.
Other people think that the Earth is round, but the dinosaur fossils are fake, along with the whole fossil record. It's all a big conspiracy so that man can live uh, in his sin without fear of judgment. I'm not exactly sure how that would work, but it's something along those lines. It's like man is in rebellion against God, so he comes up with these things to explain away the evidence for God. So, but they still accept that the earth is round. Other creationists accept that the earth is round, that the dinosaur fossils are real, but that the dinosaurs died in the flood just a few thousand years ago. And the fossils that we do have are real, but they show no change in species. Now, this was the tradition that I was raised in. Earth is round, dinosaur fossils are real, but the dinosaurs died in the flood just a few thousand years ago. Man and dinosaur did coexist. The fossils are real, but they don't show any change in species. And as far as 99% of species that's ever existed being extinct, I don't remember ever hearing that touched on. So I'm not sure what the response would have been to that growing up. But and then a little more, I guess, I don't want to say scholarly, but people that want to take the Bible serious, but also understand that the dinosaur fossils are real and belong with other species fossils in what is termed a pre-Adamite period. So the Earth is round, dinosaur fossils are real, and belong with other species fossils in what is termed a pre-Adamite period. So they believe that there was a period before Adam where dinosaurs kind of ruled the Earth, and there were all these other species that are now extinct. The Earth is very old. You might hear it called old Earth creationism.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is one of those points where I want to stop and ask you, where do you land on it now? Because I want to share some things that have kind of popped back up recently in popular culture. Were there, in your opinion, human species that lived alongside what we found to be dinosaurs? What do you think?
In my opinion, no. I don't have enough. I don't have enough time to study every little topic on a scholar level. So I have to go with the consensus, especially when it comes to science. I'm not a scientist.
Same. Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. And so I have to go with scientific consensus on many things and try to shape my worldview around that. Now, I can be persuaded even against scientific consensus with enough evidence. I'm not blindly following them.
I'm somewhere in between all of it. Do you find yourself there too, or are you pretty much convinced now of, because I was, even for a minute too, I was sort of convinced, that science is all there is to it. The spiritual side of things led me to some really sad, kind of depressing places sometimes, because the weight of that idea that there's people around me that will die and go to hell if I don't do something, like, that's a heavy weight to carry. And I don't think that was the intention of the Bible or Jesus Christ. So it was easier just to push that all away for me for a while and say, yeah, I fully embrace, we're all just animals, do whatever you want, nihilism rules, etc. But I'm kind of in the middle now. What about you?
I have become convinced that the theory that the universe came into existence by natural causes and that there is ultimately no objective moral values. It's all subjective. It's all about what you want. That the universe is best described as a fluke or an accident, and we should just be thankful for our short time here. Then there's nothing. The universe will eventually reach maximum entropy, and that was the end of it. There will not be another one.
So stop there for a second. You mean you've come to believe that?
No. I'm laying out the theory, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about it.
Okay, got it.
This
Okay.
is
All right.
atheism in a nutshell.
101. All right.
Yeah. So the idea that the universe is a fluke and that it's just a quantum fart, literally, like it just fluctuated in just the right way that it brought the universe into existence.
And do you include in that, and is included in that universe, the idea that there are other galaxies, and does that expand to this idea of even a multiverse? I know it's a very
Yeah,
Marvel word to use, but
I think, yeah. I mean, this would include the whole
okay.
multiverse theory from the naturalist reductionist perspective.
Okay.
Reductionism, atheism, um, that's what I'm talking about. I've become convinced after just my own personal study
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about it deeply. I've become convinced that worldview is a hoax. That it's just it's a myth. The fully automatic model, it's a myth.
Okay.
I believe the universe is intelligent, and I'm comfortable with the word God. I didn't get my feelings hurt so bad as a religious person that I hate the word God and I'm forever an anti-theist. That's not
Right.
me. So I do believe in God, and I do believe that the universe has some sort of purpose or intention behind it, even if it's playful, even if it's uh, meant to be enjoyed, and even if it's temporary, that there is still purpose in it.
Right.
And it's that intelligence behind it all that gave it that purpose, and continues to give it that purpose. So that's where I'm at.
And so to you, there, you would land closer, and you would probably find yourself more at ease in the camp of the intelligent design tribe. It sounds like.
Not so fast.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, here's why. The ID proponents, intelligent design proponents, they do not like the idea of a God
Okay.
who playing a game of pool can knock in all the balls one shot. Okay. That's the God I believe in.
Okay.
The universe, you could rewind it back to a singularity. You would see life come from non-living matter. That's what I believe. I believe we will find a scientific explanation for this, maybe in my children's lifetime or maybe 200 years from now. Anyways, um, we will observe life coming from non-living matter. I believe it. I have faith in that. We haven't observed it yet. It's a statement of faith. But the reason I have faith in that is because I believe in a God that can hit the balls in one shot. The ID intelligent design proponent thinks God knocked all the balls in and he's celebrating, but he had to knock them in one at a time. He's
Mm.
saying he created a universe and then he had to say, well, what am I going to do next? Okay, now I'm going to create life. I'm going to create a
Mm.
genetic code and it's just going to grow or whatever. And
Mm.
maybe the ID proponent only argues for those 2 points.
Mm.
But every ID proponent or creationist will argue for at least those 2. But I mean, someone who's a biblical creationist will say, well, he did this on day 1, he did this on day 2, he did this on
Right.
day 3. And I don't think that it happened like that. To me, the universe is so much more beautiful and God is so much more amazing. Just knowing that all this came from a singularity. All the blueprint for this universe was wound up in that one little size of a pinhead of infinite density that expanded and became all this. That's amazing to me and beautiful.
Absolutely. I think that we sort of forget sometimes that we even have 2 sides to our brain. There's one side that handles one thing and the other side handles another, but we need them both in order to function. Could this be one of those things that society needs both sides? We need a spiritual and a physical. We need a creator and evolution. We kind of need these things to stir us and keep us moving. And maybe somewhere in there is the absolute truth that we won't know. We just won't know. And that's one of those things that we were raised to believe too as Christians is God's ways are higher than our ways. You can't understand the mind of God. And that's not only in Christianity. I mean, one of my favorite other religious books is the Tao Te Ching, man. I love reading about the way the Tao is expressed. It's unknowable. And if you think you've figured it out, you've got it all wrong. And I think there's a lot of that in spirituality. There's a lot of this grabbing at something that's not there, but is it? Like it's invisible. We know that we have to have air on this earth in order to survive as mammals, right? We can't do without it, but we can't see it. We're not paying attention to the air for the most part. We're not paying attention to breathing for the most part.
So there's a lot of different explanations for how we got here. Evolutionists believe that it happened over a long period of time, that we sort of we didn't just wake up one day and say, well, today we're human, yesterday we weren't. It was a slow progression to where we're at now. The other view is essentially that we were created as a unique creation, and according to some traditions, in the image of God, whatever that might mean. And so I would like to ask the audience, what's at stake here for you personally? I know when I was going through all this that it kind of had my world turned upside down for a while. I wasn't sure how to hold on to my other beliefs or what to do with them. My beliefs in God, my beliefs about the afterlife. Because those things start getting challenged too, especially the afterlife, when you start thinking about how long creatures have been dying. At what point did we get a soul? Or did our ape-like ancestors, did they go to heaven, or did they not have souls yet? At what point did sin enter the world? And because we don't consider animals that kill each other to be sinning,
right?
So it starts bringing all that into question. So I'd like to know what the listeners think, and how they wrestle with this, and what some of the conclusions that they've come to.
My worldview exploded. To me, it was a million pieces. I had an existential crisis. I had a crisis of faith. Around 2015, about 9-10 years ago, and I had a very specific understanding of the world. I had a very specific understanding of what happened before I was born, what's happening after I die, etc. And I had a very clear understanding of what's going to happen to you if you die in a certain condition. All of that, exploded. So it's not that my world turned upside down. I like to explain it as an explosion, and it's a million different pieces that you got to fit back together. And one thing that I'll hold from, one of many things that I hold from the scriptures, is that I do believe we have to face our greatest fear. And in this lifetime, whatever that is, you got to face it head on. Can't hide from it forever. You've got to face it, whatever that is. And I think that's a scriptural teaching all the way through, not just in one part. So what is, to me, I don't think that people can have intelligent thought without considering the past, the present, and the future. We are people that understand life and time, right? We have to understand space and time in some capacity, or we'll never know when to go to sleep. We'll never know when to eat. So we got to know, where did we come from and where are we going? I think if we are to think intelligently, we have to know, where did we come from, where are we going? Or at least we have to endeavor to search those things out.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know your thoughts and topics you'd like us to explore further.